Hey guys, it's Brian again. Today we've got something a little bit different here. This is what I would consider just basic electrical work. I got a customer said that they tried to repair the plug themselves when the plug was bad and it's not working. So we're going to talk about that today. It's going to be a pretty quick video, pretty simple. Before we get started, we always talk about safety. Boom, look at that, safety glasses. Make sure obviously it's unplugged so we don't have to worry about the electrical issue at this point here. But be aware of any safety issues that may be there. We want you to make sure you're safe, nobody gets hurt. And as I've mentioned before, this is always a working shop, so I try to do my videos straight through, but sometimes it doesn't allow. I have to stop for a customer, but it is what it is. So a customer said he's tried to fix this himself. Didn't work out, so he brought it in for me to take a look at, and we're going to show you here. Let's see, this is his wiring procedure here. So this is the front of the plug, the bottom is ground, your left and your right are going to be your neutral and your feed, and let's see, green is always ground, but he's got it hooked onto the feed, which is actually not where it belongs. His black wire, his hot wire, is hooked on the neutral side. That's wrong. And his neutral wire is hooked to the ground. That's wrong. If you look on the inside, you can see they found this out after they plugged it in. Got a nice little fireball. So, with that being said, we're going to take all of this off. I'm not going to reuse this simply because it's already been used. Make sure that everything's good to go and nothing's been damaged from before. So we're going to take these off. Pretty straightforward. Unscrew them. Unscrew it. Unscrew it. And for whatever reason they decided to put this on there. You don't need this. So we're going to get that off. It wasn't even on there that well in the first place. Now if you need to, you cut your wires back, strip them so you got some exposed wire. I think we're good enough with our wiring here. You don't want a great big long exposure of your internal wires. We're going to twist them up so they're nice and tight. You got the new one here. Before you get started, make sure this goes on first. Otherwise you can't put it on. So we're going to put that on. We're going to slip it up out of the way for now. I'm going to go ahead and loosen these screws. And the weird thing about this, you see it's a green screw, which is ground. You got a darker screw, which is for your darker wire, and you got a lighter screw for your lighter wire. It's actually pretty self-explanatory unless you're colorblind. So we're going to loosen that screw and be careful so these screws don't fall out. Loosen the screw and loosen the screw. So you can see there's a little cage. And what you do is you actually slip your wire into the cage. I prefer to put it on the right side of the screw. Right side, because when you tighten it, it's going to pull down on the wire here. So I'm going to put the ground wire in first. It goes in. Push it all the way down to the insulation, which is the colored part of the wire. Touches the cage, then you tighten it up. Tighten, tighten, tighten. You want it tight. Loose connections cause heat, can cause a fire. We're going to roll over here to the black one. Do the same thing. Shake that cage down. Slide your wire. Twist it up a little more. Got some hanging out. Make sure none of your wires are hanging out of this cage, simply because they can reach over to the other side. Slide it in. Push it down. Tighten that screw. Dark screw, dark wire. Green screw, green wire. Tighten it up. Roll around to the white wire, your neutral. Shimmy the cage down. Feed that wire in between the cage and the base. Sometimes they can be a bit of a pain trying to get them in there. You got short wire, not a lot of room. Get out of the way, cage. And down it goes. Tighten it up, tight, tight, tight. And it's on. Slide our base up. And these typically are marked how they go on. You got two close and one at the bottom. So you want to make sure your body is in the same fashion so the holes line up. Press it down in the hole. Take your screws. These are probably the worst part of the whole deal. If it's not lined up exactly right, it can be a bit of a pain. Oh, wrong screw. They can be a bit of a pain to put back into place, because they have to line up exactly right. Tighten, tighten, tighten. Tighten, tighten, tighten. Tighten, tighten, tighten. I know this is going to seem very simple to a lot of guys, but if this is not something you do on a regular basis, you may not realize what to do. So I make videos to help everybody. Now you got your clamp, your wire clamp. It goes back on them. This goes back on. And what this does is this puts pressure on the wire. Because a lot of you guys, when you go to unplug them, you like to just snatch the wire out of the wall. And that's what damages the plug. Instead of reaching down and grabbing the actual plug body and unplugging it from the wall. You snatch it out like that, it stresses the wires and will break it over a period of time, which is more than likely what happened here. You're going to tighten this clamp down. You want to make sure it's tight against your wire. Alternate back and forth from screw to screw. Don't do just one screw all the way tight. Go back and forth until they're both good and tight. Now there's a variety of these replacement plugs that you can get. Make sure whatever plug you use is going to be acceptable by OSHA for whatever job you happen to be on. Sometimes this is not acceptable and you have to replace the entire wire. Alright, pretty quick, pretty simple, not a big deal. If you got any questions, comments, or requests, drop me a line in the comments below. You guys be safe. Thank you.